Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar on Acadia University MSM Agent eSummit 2020 Live. Our attendees are in the process of joining the webinar. In the meanwhile, on the behalf of all of us at MSM and Acadia University, I hope your families and your colleagues are safe and fine. I would like to thank you all for taking time and being here today with us. My name is Shivani Sachdeva, Manager Canada, overseeing Canada Institutes at MSM. I'm delighted and pleased to introduce our today's presenters, Mr. Tony, Director Student Recruitment, and Mr. Liam, Manager International Recruitment. Before I hand over the mic to them, I will run through the housekeeping requirements that are needed for today's presentation and Zoom's webinar platform. As a reminder to everyone, it's currently everyone are on mute and are encouraged to type all your questions and comments throughout the presentation, and there will be a question answer section where your questions will be answered. In case your questions are not answered, do not panic. We have our managers who will be getting back to you. For any technical issues, you are requested to message or drop a message in the chat box, right? Thank you everyone, and now I will hand over the mic to our presenters, Tony and Liam. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Shivani, and for that introduction. It was great. So my name is Anthony Ady. I'm the Director of Student Recruitment here at Acadia University. Just a little bit about myself. I've been working in higher education, recruitment, and enrollment services at a couple of different universities. So some of you might recognize me from my repeated trips to India. I've got about 5 years experience working in India, and I've just recently joined Acadia since last September. So I'm super pleased to be here at Acadia. It's a lovely university. It's proven to be a very fantastic career choice for me as well. And calling Wolfville, Nova Scotia home has really proven to be a great decision of mine personally. It's a beautiful campus, beautiful town, and lots of lovely people. We also have on the line today Liam Dutton. Liam is our Manager of International Recruitment, and I'm sure he'll share a little bit of more information about himself as we get going here. But I'm super pleased to have Liam on the team as our Manager of International Recruitment. He also has a wealth of experience working with international students around the world and is probably one of the most frequent flyers that I know. We sort of compete sometimes back and forth on who can fly the most, maybe. Liam can talk a little bit more about himself as we get going here. I wanted to just take a moment to speak with you for a minute or two about COVID-19 and future students and what's on the horizon for us here at Acadia. We have recently announced about 10 days ago that Acadia University will be offering a hybrid approach. So we will be trying our best to welcome as many students as possible, both from Canada, here locally, and also internationally to a traditional approach delivery to our academics in the fall. So we will try our best to get as many students as possible on campus, bearing in mind that a large number of students may not be able to travel due to visa and immigration restrictions, border closures, those sorts of things. So we've decided to call this a hybrid approach where we will offer a large suite of courses in class, but we will also be able to offer a large suite of courses online for those students that aren't able to travel to us. We actually sent out a survey to all of our prospective future students and current students, and we received about 2,281 responses to our survey. And overwhelmingly, the students responded that they preferred in-class teaching, but that a lot of those students were willing to accept online studies as well, or some combination of both. So that was really what drove our decision here. Another big thing that we want to announce here at Acadia is that we are revising our start date for September. So classes this year will begin on September 21st. That's about 2 weeks later than normal. So we are asking students to arrive on campus by September 5th at the latest to allow for a 14-day quarantine on arrival here in Nova Scotia and on campus. A couple of things that I will note. During the 14-day quarantine, we will be giving students the opportunity to take perhaps credit or non-credit courses in areas such as University 101, and also at the same time we'll be running some COVID-19 training sessions, teaching students about social distancing practices, all those sorts of things once we come out of that 14-day quarantine in September. Some other homework related things I wanted to mention. We will be offering resident services, the meal hall, all of those sorts of things are a go for September at this point. and we are working on a policy document that is currently being shared with our provincial government here in Nova Scotia for approvals on all of these health matters. So we are very, very confident that we will be able to offer the Acadia experience to the best of our advantage here in September. On the other fronts, when it comes to working with all of you over the next couple of months, we wanted to note that our recruitment efforts remain unaffected. Our recruitment staff are available virtually for service. Like you see here today, Liam and I are on the line, and we're happy to hop on at any time. Our admissions processes are flexible. We are willing to give conditional offers and even sometimes final offers with unofficial documents. So I encourage you to reach out to Liam to get more information about that after the call. And our application processing continues. And during this time right now, we are quite fast with turning around some of those decisions. We can probably get a completed application, a decision within about 3 to 5 business days for students that are still interested in coming and joining us in September. And then lastly, before I toss it over to Liam, I just wanted to mention that we are also exploring financial incentives and flexibility in the financial incentives for fall 2020 as well. So we're looking at options to make online studies a little more affordable for students that aren't able to travel here and those sorts of things. So I'll just leave it at that. We are prepared for fall 2020. We continue to refine our plans. We are very excited to welcome as many students as possible to campus in fall 2020. And I realize that being a smaller institution, we're a little more nimble and a little different from some of those larger institutions in Canada that are primarily going online. So if you do have students preferring that in-class experience, either for a fall 2020 start date or January 2020 start date, by all means, Acadia would be a great choice for you. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you all for joining the line today. It's much appreciated to see 75 of you on the line. So that's fantastic. We're sharing the Acadia word, and much thanks to M Squared Media as well for hosting this webinar today. Over to you, Liam.
Thanks, Tony. Much appreciated. So as Tony mentioned, my name is Liam Dutton, and I am the Manager of International Recruitment for Acadia University. I've been working with Acadia for just over 7 years now, but I was also a student for a few degrees before that. So I have about 13 or so years experience with Acadia. And I'm very lucky to be able to not only share my own experience that I had as a student, but also help students, families, agencies, help you discover the same Acadia that I had while I was here. So it's nice that I'm able to share that. And I think I shared it with Tony a few times on the road, and enough that he really wanted to get over here and experience a bit of life in Nova Scotia and see how things can be different at different institutions. I know a lot of students that we've had that have come from India and surrounding regions, they've been so surprised at what their perception of Canada was versus what we're actually offering them. And I was actually speaking to a student this weekend that was from Kerala, and his number one thing that he was surprised about was the weather. He said, I always saw these videos and these pictures of Canada and snow and cold and cold and cold. He said, it's so pleasant here. And he said that was one of his biggest worries. And the fact that he doesn't have to think about little things like weather means he can focus more on school. He was working just at the grocery store just down the road from me. So he was happy that he was able to find part-time work very easily. And he said how supportive the community is. So it's little things like that that I love hearing and love seeing, because it means that the message that we're delivering to students is right, and the experience that they're getting when they come to campus is even better. So I look forward to working with you all and explaining a little bit about Acadia as we go. So Acadia University is located on the east coast of Canada. So many of you will be familiar with cities like Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary. We're towards the Atlantic Ocean on the right side of this picture here, just outside of the capital city of Halifax. So Wolfville, Nova Scotia, lovely place to be. Nova Scotia itself is one of the warmest provinces in Canada. It's quite surprising to a lot of people to actually hear that, but it is. Us and British Columbia typically are the two warmest provinces. We're entirely surrounded by the ocean, so that regulates our temperature. We're almost an island, but we're just connected at a little piece to New Brunswick. We've got over 7,000 kilometers of coastline. We have one of the highest concentrations of universities in North America. So we are very much a university province. And because of that, you get a lot of benefits for students in terms of study and stay opportunities. And I'll get into that very soon. Nova Scotia is known for its beautiful communities, it's friendly and welcoming nature, very well known for our seafood. So if you have students that are interested in that, then they're more than welcome to enjoy it while they're a student here. But just being friendly, open, and just a beautiful place to be. As I mentioned, Halifax is the capital city. So Halifax has a population of about 500,000. It's pretty much towards the bottom of the screen here on the other side of the province and touching the Atlantic Ocean. And then we're just up the road or down the road, depending on how you look at it, from the city. And it's about a 50-minute drive. So anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic, how you're driving, you can get from campus to downtown Halifax without any issues. And then you'll see there the little airplane, that's where the international airport is. So it's actually faster for us to get to the airport than it is to downtown Halifax, but there's plenty of public transportation, there's buses, there's accessible options for students to get between all three. We do have a regional bus service that goes directly from our campus right to downtown Halifax, as well as to the airport. So in terms of travel time, in terms of students wanting to get more of that big city atmosphere, it's very easy for them to do that on the weekends. They can even go on the evenings. My friends and I used to go shopping in Halifax, take the day on Saturday, go in, have a nice dinner, and then come back to campus very easily. So it's kind of the best of both, that we are a bit smaller and more rurally located, and then having the accessibility of the city right there. So when you drive down the road or up the road, like I said, depending on how you're looking at it, you'll see this sign that says exit 10 for Wolfville. Wolfville is the name of the town that we're in. It's not so much a city. We are very much a university town, and because of that, there's a lot more opportunities for our students because they get to focus on the relationships that they are forming. They're not becoming one of a mass of people. They stand out in everything that they do. So the students are very well known. It's very easy to see who is an international student, who's domestic, but at the same time, everyone's just part of that bigger Acadia family. Wolfville has a full-time population of 4,500 residents, and then Acadia University itself has a population of 3,500. So the university almost doubles the town's population. We're one of the few places in Canada where that will happen, and we're one of the few remaining small universities. Everyone in Canada is continuing to get bigger, and we don't want to do that. We want to stay the same size because it allows us to have things like our small class sizes. So you see there an average class size of 28, students from over 65 countries. So we're about 18% international right now, but overall we're just one big community. I remember being in my classes. My biggest class I had as an English student in my first degree was 17 and my smallest was 4. For students to get things like that, especially international students where they're looking for more support, more contact time, more one-on-one time with their professors, this is where you get that. You don't get that at larger universities with classrooms of 500, 600, 700 students. For us, that just doesn't exist, and that's not our philosophy. We want to be able to work with those students one-on-one to give them more opportunities, to see them being successful moving forward into different fields. Acadia University is the 7th oldest university in Canada. So we're a very old university with a very long history of doing things very well. And you say that within our rankings. So within the Canadian rankings, the Maclean's rankings, we're always ranked in the top 5 for undergraduate education. It is our whole focus as a university. We want to just do undergraduate education very well. And within Nova Scotia, we're consistently the #1 ranked university in our province. So we're very proud of that fact, very pleased with that fact. And part of the reason that we have those rankings is because of how good the quality of students that we have are. They're participating in research, they're participating in exchanges, they have very high success rates getting into graduate schools. So it's a great relationship because the university continues to do well, and then our students continue to do well. So if students want to go to a high quality school that, not necessarily in Toronto or Montreal or Vancouver, they can come to us and still get that same high level of academics. Our big, beautiful campus sits on about 250 acres of green space. So for a small university, we do have a large campus with a lot of open space, which is amazing because students have all of this access to green space, to learning environments, to different study environments and different classrooms. The brown buildings that you see in the middle of the screen are the dormitories, so they can do their lodging right on campus. And then the academic buildings are within the middle, and then the athletics facilities at the bottom. The main street goes to the right side of the picture, so you'll see those apartment buildings and things like that. So everything is in walking distance. And that's another thing that's kind of unique to schools our size. Students don't have to take the bus to get from their class to the dining hall. They don't have to drive from their residence room to the gym. Everything is in walking distance for our campus. So it's all convenient, it's comfortable, and most importantly, it's safe. Everyone on campus is a student. You don't have traffic on campus. You don't have to allocate an extra 25 minutes just to get to class. The students can get to class within 4 to 5 minutes. And so for the families that you're working with and the parents, the concerns of their sons and daughters coming to Canada and being alone, this is the perfect place for them to be alone because everything is looked after for them. We have an amazing staff and amazing facilities to look after them. So yeah, definitely a great place to be, and definitely helps, especially in the winter. If there is snow, you're not going to be cold. Acadia has 3 faculties with 30 majors and 200 plus degree options. And when we say degree options, Acadia is very much a liberal arts style of university, meaning that students can do combinations, double majors, double minors. They could take something in science and arts. They could take business and French. They can do biology and music. So there's no limit to what we're able to do with our students because of our size. We're able to work with them one-on-one. There aren't too many plans to develop and grow any more faculties because we feel very strongly about the programs that we have and the quality of the programs within that. But within each individual major, there are a lot of different streams and options that you'll find. Within the arts itself, the more popular programs that we see would be things like politics, psychology, economics, environmental studies. Within those programs, looking at politics, for example, students are able to do international relations, conflict studies, legal studies, so pre-law. So if this student is interested in something that we might not necessarily have named here, there's a good chance we have it within one of our programs, and we just have to explain to you where that fits. So we don't have the title, but the content is the same, the option's the same. I want to go into a pre-law program, perfect. We have legal studies within our politics department, so things like that. Economics, as I mentioned, is a very strong program for us within the arts. We also have it within the science as of last year. So a very strong program for students looking to go right into careers after that are focusing on economic development and things like that. But then also being able to pair it up with other programs. Business, computer science, mathematics, for example, is a great option for them. Within the sciences, probably our most popular faculty in terms of the programs that we offer. I would say the most popular program right now would be biology and psychology. Our strongest program, I would argue, is our computer science program and nutrition and dietetics. Acadia has the oldest computer science program in Eastern Canada. We also had the first engineering school in Atlantic Canada. So there's great options for students within that. The picture that you see on the screen here is our engineering team. The junior design team finished second in Canada last year, only losing to Waterloo. So for a small school, we still carry a lot of weight when we compete with the rest of the universities in the province. Some options that I like to highlight within mathematics and statistics, we have actuarial science. So that's a great option for our students. Within biology and chemistry, we also have the health science option. So for students that are interested in becoming doctors and dentists and nurses, occupational therapists, they're able to go through this program, which then helps them apply to those graduate schools for those programs afterwards. And then our computer science program, obviously very popular with students from your regions. We have lots of options within this, lots of hands-on opportunities. As you can see here in this class, there's about 35, I'd say about 35 students in this class, and this is a first-year computer science class. It gets progressively smaller as they go, so the amount of contact time, the amount of hands-on learning that they're getting within these classrooms is absolutely exceptional. Professional studies, kinesiology, which is sports science, the study of the human body, and then business administration would be the most popular two. Within business, we have accountancy, marketing, finance, entrepreneurship, employment relations, and BTM. BTM is really interesting because it's a combination of the business program as well as computer science. So for students that want to do both, this is a fantastic major for them. And we also are a certified CPA school. So for students that take our accounting program, they'll meet the requirements in order to get hired by one of the big 5 accounting firms to then get their designation as a CPA, which they can then take anywhere in the world with them. As I mentioned, the health science options. So students can add this onto their program within pretty much anything in science and professional studies. And what it is a combination of a lot of different courses that come up for the admission tests for these graduate schools. So all of these programs listed here are graduate programs in Canada. You cannot get directly into this from high school. But our students have a very, very high success rate, specifically with medicine into these programs. 100% of our physics students that have applied to medicine in the last 35 years have gotten into medical school. That's a very unique statistic that the physics department is very pleased with. But a lot of our chemistry students, biology students, the same thing. We'll prepare them for that, or maybe to apply into nursing afterwards. So we have a dedicated advisor that helps them get into these fields. In terms of admissions requirements, it's very straightforward. We do not require standardized testing. We don't look at resumes or interviews. What we're looking for is just very basic CBSE or HSE, minimum of 50% with 60% in their required courses. If they're doing A levels or IB, 2 A levels with a B and a C, an IB of 26. It's very, very, very straightforward. A lot of the time, depending on the curriculum and the board that they're applying for, we do not require IELTS or PTE. So it's just applying with their tests, and within 3 to 5 business days, they'll get an admissions response. So Acadia is typically looked at quite favorably because of how fast we reply, and we don't have the very high admission standards that the bigger schools have because we don't have as many applications. The quality of the program is still the same. Depending on the year, depending on how many students apply, those averages might go up, but overall, as straightforward as you see here. There are some specific requirements depending on the program. A lot of the time, if it's a science program, then chemistry is required as well as mathematics. Something that we're working on, something that, that we're working on and we have worked on for other programs. If students do not have mathematics, they are able to apply directly into our BBA as well as our computer science program. So they can get direct admission into those programs on the condition that they take a university math credit that we offer free of charge while they're studying. What we're also looking at doing is, and we have created this chemistry course that hopefully soon we'll be able to admit students directly into some science programs if they don't have chemistry. And they'll be able to take the same chemistry credit, the same as the math credit, during their studies into these programs. But as of right now, if a student does not have math, they can get into computer science and business, which is a great option. There are not too many schools in Canada that will allow them to do this. So we're quite favorable with CBSE students that haven't done their boards for mathematics. In terms of costs, Acadia is the most affordable top 5 school in Canada. So when you look at schools like Alberta, University of Toronto, McGill, UBC, their international fees are very, very, very high. Acadia's is about 18,000 Canadian dollars. Your total cost for the year for everything included comes out to just under 30,000 Canadian dollars. So your full fees for the year, including living, meals, insurance, is about 30,000 Canadian dollars. So for a school of our quality, to have a cost that low is fantastic. It gives students access to high quality education when maybe their finances aren't as strong as they need to be to get into those other larger schools. Something else that we're known for is our very favorable scholarship pool. So each year we award over $4.3 to $4.5 million in scholarships and financial aid. This is an automatic process. So when a student applies, we'll assess them for admission, and we'll also look at them for scholarship eligibility at the same time. Up to March 1st, students will be able to submit their resumes and their, there's an additional scholarship application where we look at their extracurriculars, sports day, debate, MUN, things like that. That all helps with their scholarship monies. After March 1st, we'll just look at them for just grade-based scholarships. So I always advise you to get applications in as early as possible so we can give students as much money as we can. But regardless, students will still be considered for scholarships. Even if they're applying for September of this year, we'll still look at them for scholarships, but it's just the grade-based scholarships. The maximum award is 65,000 Canadian dollars, and the minimum scholarship is 2,000. The range depends on the quality of the academics, the quality of the person, but they are 4-year renewable scholarships. Each year, they'll continue to maintain their scholarship, provided they keep their grades up. In terms of cost of living, we're very affordable to be here. I have a 2-bedroom apartment and my rent is $800. So I'm below the average within Wolfville. But for students looking to have accommodations that might be on or off campus, the cost is absolutely fantastic, especially compared to places like Toronto and British Columbia, Vancouver. I couldn't afford to live there. Just to even have a 1-bedroom apartment in those places is quite difficult. So not only is our tuition lower, our cost of living is much lower as well. And so it makes it a very accessible place for students to be. Part of being a small school is being able to help students one-on-one. So we have fantastic supports available here, tutoring sessions available for free, one-on-one meetings with professors, smaller class sizes. So if you have students that are maybe a little bit concerned about taking the next step to university, we're there to help them through the whole process. Something else that Acadia ranks very highly with is our co-op program. So we have the top co-op program in our category. We actually have the same certification as Waterloo, and Waterloo invented co-op. So for us to be competing with them, so we have a gold standard. CAFKE is the accreditation board. We have a gold standard, one of only a few schools to do it. We're very proud of this because what co-op does is allow students to get paid work experience during their studies. So let's look at computer science, for example. They're going to do their classroom studies and then work, and then class and then work. So it alternates. But what that then helps it with is the understanding of the material. You know, they're not just sitting in class doing programming, they're working for IBM. And they're saying, okay, I remember studying this in January, this is what it looks like. And then what that does is allow students to get employment afterwards. So we have a 97% employment rate within 3 months of graduation. So that's absolutely fantastic. On average, our students are earning $10,000 per work term. Some placements will be higher. Computer science is higher, for example. Actuarial science is higher. Some of the accounting positions are higher too. So then students are essentially able to pay for half of their university degree with co-op and then go into full-time work afterwards. A lot of people ask about employment opportunities in Nova Scotia because we're not one of the bigger provinces that they're aware of. We're not, you know, part of MTV, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver. It's one of the fastest growing economies. Nova Scotia's is fastest growing economy in Canada. And 2 months ago, the Prime Minister announced almost $500 million for youth employment. So now is the perfect time for students to be coming to Nova Scotia because not only are they going to get a very high quality degree at Acadia, they're then going to be able to access jobs afterwards because we are growing and there's a lot of opportunities for them. Something that a lot of you may be familiar with is also AIPP, so the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. Nova Scotia has the highest number of AIPP employers, and that means that students can come to Acadia and then upon graduation, if they have an offer letter or job offer letter from one of those employers, they can get their PR card within 6 months. So to have a 6-month PR and then potentially citizenship afterwards, it makes for a fantastic place to be because our philosophy is study and stay. We're going to give you a great degree, but then we're going to give you the opportunities to get employed and then get your PR and then hopefully citizenship afterwards. And we just had the citizenship ceremony on campus in Wolfville, and Justin Trudeau actually came to campus, and there's a video of some of our international students that were here, and they're just shocked. Students from Bangladesh, students from Sri Lanka, students from India, and they couldn't believe that, you know, they're on the campus at Acadia and the Prime Minister is literally giving them their citizenship. So it was a fantastic thing to see, and the video is quite good. We do have student exchange for students that are looking to explore options in Europe, in Australia. The nice thing with exchange is you only pay your fees to Acadia, and then you can go to our partner schools. Some of the schools that we work with, their tuition is much, much higher than ours. So the students get the benefit of being able to go to Queen Margaret University in Edinburgh or University of Sydney, things like that, to take advantage of those fees. When students are on campus, guaranteed residence for all 4 years. Most students will only live on campus for 2 years. International students typically live on campus for 1, but if they did want to stay on campus for all 4, they're more than welcome to do so, and we have a fantastic range of options for them. We also have an award-winning dining hall with a wide variety of foods. We do have an entire vegetarian section for our students as well, and we were the first school in Canada to have a organic farm on campus. So the vegetables, the fruit, the produce, they're brought fresh to our dining hall. And so students get those great opportunities there. Lots of clubs and societies. We do have Model UN, we do have debate. So everything that your students are doing during high school, they're able to continue with here at Acadia. And especially athletics is something that we're very proud of. We are the top ranked athletics school in our conference, one of the top ranked athletic schools in Canada. So even if they're not playing sports, just to watch and just to go to the gym and to have access to those facilities is a very nice thing too. In terms of applications, you will lodge your applications through M-Square, and as long as we have the completed application form, the up-to-date transcript, and the grade 12 course list, that's all we need. A lot of the times for admissions, we can use their pre-boards for conditional offers. For your students now that potentially have had canceled board exams, we've done some full offers with pre-boards. We understand that a lot of students in 11th, their grades do dip. So we just basically just look at 10th and 12th for consistency. But yeah, very straightforward, very easy. If you do have applications that you would like to lodge, please contact our wonderful team at M-Square, and the process will be as straightforward as you can imagine. As soon as we have that completed application, it's about 3 business days. Shivani and I were speaking earlier, and one of the most recent applications that they put through, the student had an offer in 1 business day. So that makes things a lot easier in terms of applying for study permits because we can be much quicker with that. And then the student has the peace of mind that they do have that full offer. Applications for next year, so for next September intake, will open October 1st. Applications for January intake are open right now. So please apply for September and for January. And then keep in mind that for the major scholarships, that deadline is March 1st. For students starting in September of this year, we do ask them to come on the last day of September 5th, because they will have to do a full 14-day quarantine to start class on September 21st. If you're interested in social media, have a look here. Please share that with their students. But that takes me through to the end of my presentation. I hope I've provided lots of information for you. And what I'll do now is ask Shivani to come back and ask me lots of questions. So, hi Shivani, good to see you.
Yes, thanks, Liam. It was very informative. And although you have answered all the questions already, but we still have few.
I've done well.
Yes. So, but we still have few questions. Shall I start?
Yes, please do.
All right. So there's a question. Are we accepting Duolingo?
Yes. We do accept the DET, and the score we're looking for is 110.
Right. So will that be accepted for January applicants also, since IELTS is yet to be conducted, or?
Yeah. So the important thing for us is that the students are able to access whatever tests. So we do PTE, we do IELTS, we do TOEFL, we do Duolingo. There's a new one that we are taking now, Pelmo. We take Kale. Whatever language test that they can access, we'll take it, and there's a wide variety of scores. But with Duolingo, the fact that it's done so quickly is very accessible for the students. And then they can, when they're doing their tests, they can indicate Acadia University, and then we'll get those scores directly. So yeah, very simple.
Right, great. Thank you for answering. There's a question, what all facilities are available on campus for students?
Plenty. I mean, the full residence options. There's beautiful, beautiful buildings. Acadia has one of the most beautiful campuses in North America. So lots of study areas for students to do independent studies. So we have small study rooms, practice rooms, beautiful library facility. Our classrooms are absolutely gorgeous. So there's plenty there for them. Each residence or each dormitory has lounges and common areas, TV rooms, table tennis, pool tables. So yeah, we're fully loaded facilities. So everything that they need, they can find on campus, but then also to walk anywhere in the area. We have hiking trails on campus as well. You don't get hiking trails in the campus on a city because there's no grass. So yeah.
I am tempted to come to Acadia.
I want you to. I can't wait until you're here. I will show you all of these things.
Right. So we were talking about the meal and the accommodation earlier in your presentation. So they're asking what will be the cost? The cost that you have mentioned is for a year or 9 months or 8 months?
It's for the full length of their study plan. So it's for the full academic year. So whatever that might be, the 8 months or the 8.3 months. So from move-in day to move-out day of the academic year, that covers the whole length. But the insurance, their insurance goes for a full 12 months. So even when students, if they come back home to India, they're still covered by their Acadia insurance, which is great.
All right. And since Acadia offers almost 80% of the programs co-ops, would you like to elaborate on that? What kind of co-ops, what kind of industries they usually work?
Yeah, definitely. So this year we actually had a record number of students taking co-op and a record number of international students taking co-op. So I think people are realizing the value of being able to not just get work experience, but the paid work experience is massive. The biggest area where we had students in co-op was biology. So they were doing a lot of work in research labs for the federal government. Computer science is a massive one. About 70% of our computer science students do it. We have connections to IBM, Google, Sony, Dell, Microsoft, Research in Motion. We've had students working for CSIS, which is the Canadian Cybersecurity what is like the FBI, but for cybersecurity. So fantastic options there. We also had students doing game design for EA Sports. So they make FIFA, all of the sports games. So the students are actually able to go just down the road to HB Studios and do all of that game design for then EA Sports afterwards. So it's a wide variety, a lot of banking, RBC, Bank of Montreal, they get opportunities there. Accountancy is a very big one for us as well. KPMG, PwC, Deloitte, Grant Thornton. So all of these major companies, our students are getting positions because they understand the quality of our co-op program.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will be helpful. And since they will be working for the co-ops while they're working, do they get opportunities to work on campus also while they're studying?
Yeah, definitely. So as of the Canadian regulations, students can work on or off campus, but we have over 1,000 opportunities on campus as well as within Wolfville itself. And we typically give priority to international students because we know that they need the job. Some domestic students, they just want the job for extra money, but international students really need it to help pay for their schooling. So we have plenty of positions available for them. They can work in the library, they can work in the campus bookstore, they can work for dining hall, in the athletics facility. So even if they have interests in different areas, they know, okay, maybe I want to go into sports management afterwards. It's a good idea to get part-time work within that field because then their resume gets much stronger.
Yes, certainly. There's a question, they want to know what is the strength of the class and how many Indian students are studying at Acadia?
Yeah, so the average class size for the university as a whole is about 28. The whole university has 3,500 undergraduate students. In years 1 and 2, the courses are a bit bigger, but in years 3 and 4, the average drops to 14 or 17. So it honestly just depends on the program, the class that they're taking. And in terms of Indian students, as of right now, we have a total of, what was the newest number that I just saw? There's about 80 Indian students overall, but we've only just started recruiting in India in about the last 3 or 4 years. And now with our partnership with M Square, that number is going to be significantly bigger. But for us, Acadia is very big on diversity. So other schools just said India and China, that's all they want. We were looking at the Caribbean, the Middle East, all of Southeast Asia, all of Europe. So our classrooms are a perfect example of the multiculturalism culturalism of Canada. But there are Indian restaurants here. We do have Indian families. There's a lot of good support systems here too. Yeah, so it's not as big as other schools, but it's going to continue to grow as we have this amazing partnership and students realize that, wow, Acadia is a very affordable and safe and an amazing option for careers in PR. We're going to see more students.
Certainly we will.
Begging all of you for your support to help us.
You don't have to. They will definitely support us and we are there to support you. All right. And there's another question regarding scholarships. Although the deadline is already over, so will you be accepting students with scholarships?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, so our scholarships kind of fall into 2 categories. One is just grade based. Okay, we just look at their results and then we give them money for it. The other one is we also look at their CV, their achievements, their awards, their volunteerism, community service, and then that comes together. So these bigger ones, and they're the Chancellor's Scholarship, the President's Scholarship, things like that, the deadline has passed for that consideration, but we're still looking at the grade-based, 1,000, 3,000, 5,000, whatever number. So when the student gets admission, they're also going to get the scholarship consideration, and it will be this amount over 4 years. And so, yeah, so they can still get scholarships for September, no problem.
Right. And will they be open for January as well?
As far as I'm aware, yes. Yeah, so because our January intake never used to be a very big one, but now it's growing significantly, and with potentials with COVID, that will carry over to January.
Right. We have answered many questions, and they'll keep pouring in though. There's one question that that I would also like to ask you, that what is the minimum, wage rate that they get while they're working with co-ops, or working on co-ops?
Honestly, that depends on the co-op that they're doing. The absolute minimum that we can do for co-op is $16 an hour. So in order, and there's certain regulations and rules for co-op, and one of them is there's a minimum payment, and for us, we don't accept anything under $16 an hour.
All right.
Which is really good.
Yes.
And the highest that I've seen it go is, I think, $56 an hour.
Oh, right. Depending on the field they're going, probably, and the employer.
Exactly. So, for example, a student in actuarial science, it's a very high demanding field. You have to be an absolute topper to get into that. I've seen there's some students that have gotten $100,000 contracts. Okay, so it depends on the field, but the absolute minimum, even a student doing arts, is going to get $16 an hour.
Right. Thank you for answering almost all the questions. Right. We're still having the questions, but we do not have much time. So before we end, would you like to say anything to our attendees?
Sure, absolutely. I'm very pleased to be able to talk to you about Acadia, because I know Acadia doesn't have the same awareness as other bigger institutions in Canada. And, for some people, they say, oh, well, I've never heard of this school, and because I haven't heard of it, is it a good school? I hope from everything that you've seen and what I've been able to show you that you'll realize that Acadia can potentially be the best option for your students in terms of what their situation is, who they are as a person, who they are as an academic, and what their goals are. So I hope that I've given you enough information as a starting point to say, oh, there might be a few students where this will be a very good opportunity, because the students that we have that come to us through all of your agencies, they come here and they love it, and they have such an incredible experience, and their success. They come here and they stay here, and they get the jobs that they're promised. They get the opportunities that they're promised as well. So I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for giving me the opportunity to talk about a school that I love, and hopefully down the road, a school that your students are going to love equally as much. So please don't hesitate to reach out to our amazing team at M Square. Shivani is one of my favorite people to talk to, not just once a week, but multiple times a week. They're doing incredible work for us, and I look forward to seeing how our partnerships go with all of our partners with M Square and all of you on the line here today. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to listen, and I look forward to hearing from you all in the future and working with you.
Thank you, Lam, for wonderful words and insight presentation. And I would also like to thank everyone for joining us today, all the participants for your questions. You can find the recording of this presentation on the YouTube page for MSM. You can also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And I hope to see you again for the next time. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much.